Welcome, my name's Jamie and I'm a Senior Occupational Therapist at LifeTec. Today I'll be presenting on resources for home design to assist future-proofing homes for the over 50s. This webcast is aimed at over 50s who are considering their future and interested in making preventative changes to their environment to improve safety, function and independence, rather than waiting until it's too late or until these changes need to be done under duress. It is also aimed at service providers for this group, including health professionals, builders, architects, and others who are involved in providing advice and delivering built environment solutions for the over 50s. So, what makes this a hot topic? You can see the changing shape of the population in this graph. The light blue lines indicate our population in 1993. The grey lines indicate our population now. You can see the grey bars are getting longer at the top third of the graph, while they shrink in the lower third. This indicates the number of those aged 50 plus is growing steadily, while those in the age bracket under 50 is gradually reducing. Our population is ageing, and that probably isn't news to anyone. Declining fertility, increased life expectancy, and the effect of the baby boomer generation moving into old age has contributed to a steady increase in the proportion of population aged 65 years and over. This is where we're heading as a state. At June 2010, about 500,000 Queenslanders were aged 65 or older. The Australian Bureau of Statistics states over 1.2 million Queenslanders will be aged 65 or older by 2031. That's more than a doubling of numbers, or to put it in another way, more than 100% increase over 20 years. Aging in place, or staying in our own homes, is increasingly seen as the preferred option for the over 50s, rather than alternatives such as downsizing to smaller houses or units, or moving into nursing homes and retirement villages. There is an ever-increasing need to enable ageing in place by providing options for appropriate and affordable accommodation in suitable locations and with the right house design. So here's a newsflash. Current housing design doesn't work for all people. For most that won't be a newsflash at all. Others may not have considered it too much, as their current housing has no negative effects on their lives currently. But currently is the word here. What consideration has been made for the future? External and internal stairs, steps at the front entry of the home, small pokey bathrooms, showers over baths, narrow hallways and doorways, slippery tiles in wet areas. All of these things could be avoided with a little forethought and planning in the initial housing design. The truth is, everyone can benefit from well-designed housing. It goes way beyond just over 50s. Families with children, older people, people with temporary or permanent injury or illness, and people with a disability, they all require more than what standard housing designs offer. If you are building a new home or renovating an existing home, by using a set of relatively simple design principles, there is the potential to make homes more livable for everyone, regardless of age, family needs, or a change a person may experience during their lifetime. An added bonus is that this also means that homes that would generally be able to be visited by everyone, regardless of age or ability. So therefore, your grandparents with mobility aids or friends with a disability could come over and visit your home without having to be carried up 12 steps or assisted to and getting to and to use the toilet. Well-designed housing reduces the risk of injury, hospital visits and institutionalisation. Conversely, badly designed housing costs the community in avoidable accidents, hospital stays, expensive modifications and specialised accommodation. The next question you have to ask is why stay? What are the benefits of someone staying in their existing home? The positives of staying: establish social networks like friends, family and neighbours, familiar, local and known amenities, public transport, doctors, shops and parks, knowing where they all are and how to access them, emotional well-being, and the decline that is regularly seen in individuals' quality of life if they are forced to move. Many people are very attached to their homes, maybe because they've raised families there. Negatives of having to move are the costs associated with moving, like mortgage insurance, stamp duty, movers, the emotional and physical stress associated with moving, and the loss of connectedness to one's community, friends, neighbours, and the familiarity of what's been their home for many years. If you think simply moving or downsizing is going to be the solution, then here's the bad news. Only 1.5 to 2% of all new housing being built meets the minimum set of standards for livable, accessible and universal design. That means when you go to buy, there's a very good chance you are just going to be exchanging one set of problems for another, only in a smaller overall environment. So, you or your clients decided to stay in their existing home. You're standing tall and defiant, you're not leaving. Where to from here? What does it take to stay? This may vary considerably from person to person and place to place. But one thing that won't vary too much is the fact that staying in an existing home, if that's where the person truly wants to be, will cost significantly less in terms of the personal, emotional, financial and quality of life that some of the possible alternatives will bring. So how do we future-proof a home? Firstly, let's have a quick recap on what we've established so far. The population is ageing. Current housing design doesn't suit most people across their lifespan, and there are some very good reasons to stay in your existing home. People want to remain living independently in their own homes in their existing communities for as long as possible. I will talk about how this can be achieved shortly, but first I would like to clarify some of the terminology currently being used around the area of home design for our ageing population. It's important to have a good grasp on the terminology as it tends to help us understand what is trying to be achieved, and it reduces some of the potential confusion. So, let's go through some of the terminology. Universal design. The concept of universal design is defined as the design of products and environments to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible and without the need for adaptation or specialised design. Universal housing design is the approach to building homes and living spaces which meet the need of the home occupants regardless of age or ability, are capable of adapting to meet the changing needs of the home occupants, can be economically adapted to respond to the current and future needs of home occupants, and are well integrated within the community. Accessible. The term accessible is commonly used in legislation and describes the built environment where design focuses exclusively on accommodating functional impairment. The result usually meets the needs of most people. Livable. A livable home is designed and built to meet the changing needs of occupants across their lifetime. Livable homes include key easy living features that make them easier and safer to use for all occupants, including people with disability, ageing Australians, people with temporary injuries, and families with young children. Visitable. Visitability focuses on features of the built environment enabling access to and within domestic premises and access to a wheelchair-accessible toilet on the entry level of a home. Aging in place. Aging in place is the ability to live in one's own home and community safely, independently and comfortably, regardless of age, income or ability level. So back to the question, how do I future-proof my home? To provide solutions, you need tools, understanding, and knowledge to make change. preferably tools that are applicable to all key stakeholders and aimed at all levels of understanding. For the over 50s thinking about their future housing needs, for builders faced with the prospect of being asked to build houses that meet the needs of our ageing population, and for health professionals who ask the question, how can I stay in my home safely and with the highest level of independence? It is my belief the best starting point for everyone is Deliverable Housing Design Guidelines. These guidelines will be my focus for today. If you're already using these guidelines, then I'll be preaching to the converted. If not, let me tell you why you should. Here's a few reasons. They came about due to a recognised need. They were developed as a result of all key stakeholders coming together, including politicians, developers, builders, health professionals, and consumers. They are national guidelines, they're not state-based. Of all the current initiatives, they have the greatest strength and push behind them by politicians, the housing industry, and professionals working in the area of housing design. The guidelines are relatively simple to use and delivered in a way that most people can comprehend. The guidelines have been developed with 3 performance levels of silver, gold, and platinum. Each level builds on the last. Under each level are suggested design elements such as dwelling access, internal doors and corridors, etc. So let's start simple and at the lowest level, the silver level. The silver level of performance includes the 8 core livable housing design elements. These are considered the minimum low-cost features necessary for a dwelling to be livable and visitable by people of all ages, and they are as follows. Element 1, there is a level, step-free path of travel from the road or a parking area to the entrance of the home. Element 2, there is a step-free entrance into the home. Element 3, it's a large car parking space with level surface that is firm and slip resistant. Element 4, doors and corridors are wide enough to allow ease of movement between rooms. Element 5, there is an accessible toilet on the entry level. Element 6, the bathroom has a step-free shower. Element 7, there is reinforcing in the shower and toilet walls for optional grab rail installation either now or in the future. And element 8, any stairways are designed to reduce the likelihood of injury, which includes handrails on both sides, closed risers, and slip-resistant finishes on the stair treads. If you're going to bother making any change at all, I believe it's important to try and achieve a minimum of a silver level, whether it be a new build or a retrofit. Here's an interesting point. These features cost less than $900 per dwelling in the initial building stage. However, to retrofit costs an average of $19,400, over 20 times more. There are also gold and platinum levels also, which can be found in the guidelines themselves. So let's discuss an example of one of the design elements. Take the dwelling entrance. A silver level dictates the following. The dwelling should provide an entrance door with a minimum clear opening width of 82 centimetres or 820 millimetres, a level step-free transition and threshold, and reasonable shelter from the weather. It also specifies that a level landing area of 1200 by 1200 millimetres should be provided at the level step-free entrance door. Where the threshold at the entrance exceeds 5 millimetres and is less than 56 millimetres, a ramp threshold may be provided. The level step-free entrance should be connected to the safe and continuous pathway from the vehicle drop-off point or the road to the internal aspect of the home. So how does one achieve a level, step-free transition and threshold at the house entrance? Many of you will have a step. For some that might mean a small platform and a ramp such as this one. For others it may involve some landscaping solutions. Many builders will say it doesn't meet the building code for weather protection and termite prevention. Well, that simply isn't true, and the guidelines can show the builder the how-to do the installation and still meet all the building requirements. So, when the guidelines say a minimum clear opening of 820mm, what does that mean? The guidelines explain this once again, and this is the sort of thing that a proactive client can show to their builder. 820mm isn't the size of the door. It's not even the distance between the door jambs. It's the actual clear opening when the door is fully open. Millimeters may be the difference between someone in a wheelchair being able to visit you versus the embarrassment of them not fitting through your doorway. I would encourage each and every one of you who hasn't already got a copy of the Livable Housing Design Guidelines to get this from the Livable Housing Australia website, and you can see the address on this slide. Or alternatively, you can get the free app for your smart home, which has all the same information and advice. Another great point about these guidelines is that they include photos to demonstrate the design elements themselves. All other elements covered in the guidelines are listed here. They cover everything from dwelling access through to kitchen space and flooring. I'd like to spend a minute talking to you about the barriers to achieving good design. There are a few. The first is that the actual guidelines at this stage are not mandatory. It is not regulated and it is still voluntary, involves voluntary uptake. They aren't mainstream, it's just simply not known by enough people. There is a lack of buyer demand. Most new home buyers aren't requesting livable and visitable design. They aren't of an age or understanding that they could benefit from relatively minor changes to their home. Confusion around the purpose or point. The coalface builders don't necessarily see the purpose or point. They aren't educated in the benefits and therefore won't even suggest it to their clients when they're preparing to build or planning for the building. Additional costs. Although minimal, at a time of a new build, an additional cost is and it's still an additional cost, and some people choose not to pay that. Inertia in the building industry. New things just aren't taken up easy in the building industry. So who's responsible? The short answer is you. We all are, whether we be a politician, a builder, an architect, a developer, a health professional, a family member or end user. Everyone needs to be aware of and pushing for these changes. As stated in the last slide, the fact is the guidelines aren't regulated, so nobody's required to use them. It's all on a voluntary basis. There are two schools of thought on whether they should be regulated or not, but for now, it's up to anyone who's familiar with the guidelines to make others familiar and to encourage their uptake. Although the Livable Housing Design Guidelines are a very good guideline, there are other resources out there, and here are a few. The top two here are the two peak bodies around housing design, the Australian Network for Universal Housing Design, or ANUD. ANUD is a national network of housing industry bodies, housing professionals and government professionals, designers, builders, researchers and home occupants. Their goal is for all new and extensively renovated homes to be built to accommodate universal and lifestyle-sensitive design features. Queensland Action for Universal Housing Design. Queensland Action for Universal Housing Design represent industry and community working together towards fair, inclusive and sustainable communities through the adoption of universal housing design principles. So they're two peak bodies. And then you have some additional documents. Your Home, Australia's Guide to Environmental Sustainable Homes. That's available for purchase, but you can look at all the content online. Landcom have a Universal Design Guidelines, and that's available as a PDF. And so too the Sustainable Housing Principles is also available as a PDF. The next two resources are resources that I developed myself. First is the top 10 tips for home design for over 50s, and the second is top 10 tips when designing a bathroom for over 50s. Both of these have, as mentioned, top 10 tips, and they also identify things to avoid. They're available for download from the Home Modification section of the LifeTec website. At this point, I'd like to give our own home modification and design service a plug. LifeTec offer an all-inclusive home modification and design service with specialist consultation, design and planning through to the completion of building works. LifeTec engage a trusted building partner with over 60 years combined experience in providing building solutions for over 50s. If you have your own builder, we're more than happy to consult directly with them also. This flyer is available for download from the Home Modification section of our website. I'd like to finish by saying that our door is always open. We have two centres, both in Brisbane and in Townsville, and you can always access us via email directly at mail@lifetec.org.au. Come and visit us on our website at www.lifetec.org.au. or phone us on our number 1300 885 886, and our helpful health professionals will be able to offer you further advice on any of the items I've mentioned today, including additional resources and the LifeTec Home Modification and Design Service. We hope to see you soon, and thank you for listening.